another episode of Tag Paid Go. This week I'm going to discuss my thoughts on the new Disney Plus show, Moonknight. It's been a minute since I released an episode, and to be honest, things have been a little crazy around here. But for others like me, in this space, there's help. Thanks to Teddy's podcast Renewal. Did you start a podcast in the beginning of the COVID pandemic? Did you think that weekly podcasting would be a fun way to kill the time at home? Has your life gotten back to pre-pandemic times? Has your podcast been neglected? Well, Teddy is here to help. That's right. With Teddy's time-proven experience, your podcast can go from neglected to new again in just 8 short weeks. Teddy's podcast Renewal can help you nurse your stagnant podcast back to life and even help you enjoy it again. If podcasting is just too much work than you thought it would be, Teddy can help find a foster to take care of your podcast and give it the loving home it deserves. If you'd like to know more about getting your podcast the nurturing it needs, or you yourself would like to foster a podcast, just fax Teddy today for more information. That's Teddy's podcast Renewal. Moonknight is now streaming on Disney Plus, and I have a few non-spoilerly thoughts about this new show. To give you a little background on Moonknight, I strongly suggest checking out some of these other great podcasts that are really knocking it out of the park on all things Marvel. I'll put the links in the description, but to give you an idea of why these podcasts are so informative, it's simple. They use Teddy's podcast Renewal. You see, these podcasts were left alone for months on end with no nourishment or interaction. The attention they required was too much for the original podcast owners, so they got fostered and later adopted by new podcast owners. Now, these podcasts flourish and are easily some of the most loved podcasts out right now. Teddy's podcast Renewal can help your neglected podcast get the love it deserves. Just call or fax today. It's now time for my featured song, which is now streaming off an album I recorded called Just a Minute. It's an album of 1-minute songs. Sit back with a lemon-zested crawfish pie and enjoy. This one's called Retro Trippin'.
I'm calling because I'm falling in love with delirium. Don't tease me, it might just please me. My retro trip, here I come. Outdated, overrated, my retro trip has begun. Fast faded, backdated, my retro trip isn't fun. I'm calling because I'm falling in love with delirium. Don't tease me, it might just please me. My retro trip, here I come.
Well, that does it for this week's episode of Tag Paid Go. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Teddy's Podcast Renewal. Podcasts are not just a hobby that can be abandoned when you get bored. The pandemic was tough on a lot of people, and your podcast doesn't deserve to be neglected just because you decide it's not important anymore. Let the good people at Teddy's Podcast Renewal help you find the love and attention your podcast needs. I also want to thank everyone for listening back in. Thanks for all the messages and comments. Keep them coming in. You can follow Tag Paid Go on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and now on TikTok. That's at Tag Paid Go. You can also listen to songs from previous episodes on Apple Music, Amazon Music, and on Spotify and Bandcamp. Everyone stay safe, be kind to each other. Till next time, Tag Paid Go.
This is dumb.